Oh, here we go. I'll try Train Simulator now. Might be a little bit more popular. So yeah, we're doing. I'm gonna keep this up, obviously, as a separate video. So what we're going to be doing is we're taking this New Jersey Transit F40, and we are on the North Jersey. Oh, I've turned on the power by accident somehow. We're going on the North Jersey coastline. No, actually, it's the Morristown branch. We're going from here, which is Dover, and we're going to Hoboken. And then we'll just see what happens and take it from there. So let me know if the train is too loud and you can't hear me. But yes, this is a New Jersey Transit F40 PH. What is it? F40 PH-2 CAT. So yeah, we've got to let the passengers on first, obviously. And we're taking this on, I think it's like a 50-mile journey, I think. We've only got a couple coaches, which is good for this line because the stations are all pretty small. Um, I don't think this would be on this line in real life. I don't even know if they really exist in real life anymore, to be honest. Um, but yeah, so I think I probably should have gone in an electric multiple unit for this, but I don't really care because diesels are cooler. Righty then, let's get moving. It's 25-mile-an-hour limit. Yes, it's 40 miles. We're going to stop at every station on the way, unless of course I go too fast and accidentally go past them. And as always, a slight delay between the chat and me being able to see it. But if you don't want to talk about anything, just let me know. I'm willing to talk about anything about trains, life, plans, upcoming videos, anything like that. Just let me know. And yeah, I'm more willing to have a conversation. Bullier Pacifics, no. I don't have a huge amount of Steam packs. I've got the Exmouth to Kingswear. No, it's not Exmouth. Exeter to Kingswear route. That's the only Steam stream route I really have. I'm waiting for them to do a West Wales line or any sort of Welsh sort of Steam era route. I think that'd be pretty cool. But as you might know, um, I'm pretty sure I think I know whose channel that is. But yeah, as you might know me, I'm more into my diesels than my steamers. And also on Train Simulator, I'm not very good at driving the steam trains. I can do a little bit of shunting in the panniers, but we could probably do that in a separate video. And it looks like the stream is lagging pretty badly. Which is not ideal. Okay. I don't know what I can do about that. Yeah, I'm wondering how can we actually improve that? I mean, I'm already on pretty low settings for Train Simulator. I'm not sure if there's anything else I can do um, to change anything, if I'm honest. So yeah, if there is any lag spikes, it does get too unbearable, let me know. It might be similar to Minecraft and it only does it every now and then. But I'm not going to rush it. Um, if I have to just slow down the train to deal with it, then that's fine, because it's not like I'm on a scenario or anything, so it doesn't really matter if we're going a little bit too slow. It might be better if we stay in the cab. It might be easier for the stream to cope with, I'm not sure. Performance mode. Honestly, I don't know anything about streaming. I think we're on Train Simulator 32-bit. I think I should probably be on 64-bit. I think it can cope a bit better with that. Um, dropped frames 0.3%. So we're on 60 FPS and I'm not getting any red flashing lights on the streaming side of things. So I'm not entirely sure what that's about. It seems to be okay now. I'm watching the stream back on my phone so I can sort of see what you guys have to see. And so far it seems to be somewhat smooth. Now we're in the cab at least. But I don't want to turn down the graphics too much because then it's just unplayable for me because it just looks too bad. Speed limit coming up, 50, that's fine, we're barely going that. But yeah, it might have just been a little bit of an issue then. It might have not been able to cope with the amount of trains that there was in that yard back there, so that might have been causing a little bit of an issue. So I can't imagine how bad it's going to be when we get to this terminal, because it's about the size of like London Paddington, essentially. So it's a pretty huge station when we do get to that. But I do like. I've got basically all the New Jersey Transit locos. I think they all look really awesome. I like the paint scheme. Um, there's one more I do need to get, which is like the U34B, I think. But that's not quite on sale enough for me at the moment, so I'm not going to get that one for the time being. But it's something I will get in the future if it's on like a little bit more of a sale. And we have got a station coming up now in just over 1.5 miles, I think. I'm assuming that's what that is. It might be kilometers actually. Yeah, so it does look like it's lagging a lot more when we are outside of the cab. So I think we'll just stay in there as much as possible. I guess we can always look out the window as well. But yeah, I can always potentially swap over to Train Simulator 32-bit. How you doing, Ethan Strains? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, if you guys think it's better for me to change over to 64-bit, if there's enough of you in agreement, then I'm willing to do that, because it shouldn't take that long to switch over. You'll just have to look at a black screen for a little bit. But yeah, if it's for the stream, then that's better. I haven't played Train Sim World 2, no, because I don't have an Xbox One, and my laptop wouldn't be able to run it. So that isn't something I've got or will get for a while, I don't think. I think it's really cool. I've played it on one of my mates at one of my mates' house. I've played the GWR route. I think it was like London Paddington to Reading or something. I can't remember. It was like when it first came out. I had a brief play. But yeah, it's coming up to a station now. A lot of them are really low, like the platforms. So stick out the cab for this one just so I can see. So we're going round to the right, I think. Yeah. If we put on a bit more brake than that, or we're going to overshoot. Yeah, okay, we are speeding somehow. Right, yeah, look how low that the platform is. I don't know, I'll show you in a second. I don't know how people are supposed to get on this train because it's at such an angle. Right, we're going to go outside just so I can see where the coaches are. We'll slap on the bell as well because we're about to go over a crossing. Right, I think that should do. It's quite a weird station when you think about it, this one, because there's a road going through the middle of it. Like, you would not get that in the UK. If we just have a look here, like, how the hell are you supposed to get on when the coach is like that? I mean, you'd have to basically climb on. And we're almost touching that fence as well, which is pretty insane. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess maybe in real life it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's an insanely low platform. Uh, but I think if we look at this coach here, there's like you see there's like a big square of metal. On some coaches, that's actually steps. So I think it is possible, and you can see there's a handrails there. But it's something you just would not get in the UK. There'd be no way that we'd be able to get away with that. It'd be against so many disability regulations. Right, let's get going again. It's a very cool looking engine. Oh, there's another train over there as well. That's a ALP 45. They're sort of bi-mode, built by Bombardier. They've got double-decker coaches over there as well. So that's pretty cool. This is a huge route, by the way. So we are currently... I don't know if you can see my mouse, but we are up here, and we are going all the way over here to this terminal. We can't go to New York Penn because diesels aren't allowed into New York Penn. But I want to just explore the whole route. We can't go down to Bay Head either for some reason, even though it is included in the game. But this area we're looking at right now. This is the North Jersey coast, which is available as a separate route. So it's like two routes rolled into one. This one, so that's quite cool. And we're speeding. There's one station with Woe going through it in the UK, but I think it closed. Yeah, I mean it's something I can imagine we might have had at some point. But with how health and safety is these days, there's no way they get away with it. And also it caused so much havoc to the roads that we just wouldn't be allowed it, because obviously in this country people are more into roads than they are trains, unfortunately. I think there's so much more potential for like more metro systems and more trains in this country. I'm going to make a video on my idea of how they could reopen the Heathfield branch. So that's what I want to do at one point. And that's a strange station. That's only on one side. That's sort of how my model railway was at one point. Oh, and it's a 50. We can whack up the power a little bit now. But again, as with the performance, just let me know what's going on. It's clearly a little bit worse when we are outside of the cab, so I'm going to stick in it as much as possible, apart from when we're parking at stations, I think. So obviously the cab's quite. You can turn off the bell now. That's already annoying me. It's quite a nice cab actually. This one. Look, it's got the speed limits here, various other things and stuff. I don't know what any of this does. I mean, there's a dynamic brake and yeah, some other bits and bobs. Right, that's fast enough now. And we're speeding, but I don't really care because it's not a scenario. What are they going to do? Sit one of the coaches, I guess. Hello. Look at his ear. That is strange. Nice. UK tram network and large trams. Yeah. I mean, I don't. I think we've like my biggest city, I guess, if you can count. Yeah, it is a city. My biggest city near me is Exeter. They've got a pretty decent bus network. I'm sure it can be improved though. They're reopening a station in Marsh Barton as well, so Exeter's going to have what 5 or 6 stations in it. So I mean, you could probably get away with rebranding some GWR trains as Exeter Metro if you ran a train between I don't know Marsh Barton and Exeter St James Park. You could probably call that the Exeter Metro. But I think they are bringing in a Southwest Metro. I've seen some like maps of it. I'm not sure what that actually entails. I don't know if that's just some rebranding of some trains. There's also a metro in Plymouth, apparently. There's one station, I think it's St Bordeaux Ferry Road, has metro signs on it, but it's not something I've really seen talked about much. It's not something I've seen on any of the trains, so I'm not really sure. But I think you could have a Newton Abbot metro, which is something I want to talk about in the video pretty soon, which would just, reopen the Heathfield branch, new station in Newton Abbot, station in King Stainton, station in Stover, which was going to be like a request stop only for the summer, and then a station at Heathfield, and then that sort of runs parallel to the bike network, so it's good for people to get bikes. And then there was going to be a bus network going out of Heathfield, so you could connect to the Tean Valley, such as Cristo, because they have a terrible bus service, which only goes to Exeter, I think. And then there was also going to be buses up to Bovey, Morton Amstead, and then up to Haytor, so it would be a good way to sort of get up to Haytor without having to rely on driving yourself. And obviously, looking into hydrogen buses, electric buses, that sort of thing, sort of just to reduce the CO2 and all that sort of stuff. I'd like the line to where I live to be reopened, but the A38 is sort of on top of it, or it's on top of most of it anyway. Get a little bit. We're coming up to another station now, Morris Plains, and we're speeding, but who cares? How are we speeding? It's a 60. Jesus. You've got 33 miles to go. ETA is in 3 minutes, apparently, so I don't know how that's even possible. That's quite strange. That might be in an hour's time or so. I don't know, actually. But yeah, it's quite a long track. I drove all of this on Friday. I went over the whole route because I bought it. But yeah, peeled over the A38, yeah. I did think you could probably put in something next to the A38. You could have like a monorail next to it, but that's definitely not going to happen. Not going to get monorails in this country. But yeah, I mean, tram-wise, the tram network in Cardiff, that's been expanded because they're getting the tram trains that go up into the valleys, and I think they're extending the line out of Cardiff Bay or something. That's something I do want to have a bit more of a closer look at, because there's going to be a proper South Wales Metro, and I've seen a lot of the South Wales Metro branding, and that's something that I'm going to be living quite near to, so I'm quite excited to see the introduction, of the Stadlers, and all the new trains. I think it's, what is it, 7-4? It's not 745, that's what Anglia have. But there's a couple Stadler things. There's 231s. Then there's a 398 tram trains, I think. I can't remember what the tri-modes are. But I think the 231s are the bi-modes for the Rimney line and the like Gloucester Maesteg routes. And of course you've got the 197s coming, and I think they look awesome. And I think we're going to overshoot this one. But as long as it's only the engine, I'm not too worried, because no one's going to get in the engine. Oh no, we're going to be alright. Awesome. I quite like this. Nice little consist. This is something you also wouldn't get in the UK, you know. One massive engine with like 3 coaches. I wish they did it more, you know. I think we should have so many more loco hauled routes. I think they should expand like the amount of routes that like 67s work on or something. Which I think they are actually. They're bringing in at least 2 more sets. That lag's so much worse, my lord. Right, anyway, let's let the passengers on and off. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going on in this country. I know in cities the general idea is to move away from using cars, but for the rest of the country, obviously, it's not necessarily possible. But I don't like electric cars. I'd much rather use like electric buses, electric transport than an electric car. Because a lot of people are not going to be able to afford them. You know, it's like 30, 40 grand just to start with for most electric cars that I've seen. Local abandoned line has become A3088 to limits A303. Yeah, I drove over the A303 yesterday. From Winchester. I spent a lot of time on the A303 and the A30. But yeah, they are doing this reverse beaching cuts thing with the Oakhampton line. They made a big deal about the Oakhampton line, but technically it was open on some weekends anyway, so, you know, it's already being used. It's not like, oh yeah, it hasn't been used since the 1960s, because it has. Also, I'm not sure what the point in that is. I mean, Oakhampton's quite a small town. There's only like 30,000 people living there or something. But who knows? Maybe it'll help. It means that stations like Crediton are now worth going to because they get like 4 trains an hour or something. But yeah, I mean, if they can reopen a line to Oakhampton, I'm sure they can reopen a line to Heathfield, which is going to serve more people and have more stations, you know? So I'm sure it's financially possible. But, you know, you're not going to know how well these things do until you do them, you know? So, but we'll see. I think my generation are going to struggle with cars, to be honest, because we're all just sort of dying. But there you go. Right, got another station coming up now in 1.62. Again, I'm not sure what that is, if that's miles or what. But we are heading towards Morristown. There's a spur going off there, I'm not sure where that goes to. Yeah, I think they should expand it over the top. But to be honest, I don't see how much use it's going to get unless the seawall collapses again. Because again, I mean, there's a reason that line was closed. Not many people actually live like on the route. I think with if they open the line to Tavistock, fair enough. That's a decently sized town, but I think between Oakhampton and Tavistock, there's only a couple places. But I guess, you know, for most of them, they'll actually be wanting to go to Plymouth rather than Exeter. But they do need a route other than the Dawlish line, obviously, because it keeps getting broken. Just saying that, they've done a lot of work on it recently, so who knows, really. And we're speeding again. This is quite a big station. I think it's a 3-platform station, this one, if I remember rightly. A little bit bigger than the other ones we've been through. Oh, and there's another train there. I don't know what that one is. That one's on electric, so it could be an ALP 46. The 45 is a bi-mode, and I think the 46 is electric only. And they've got double cabs as well. That's a double cab one, so that's an ALP 46. Haven't done many double-decker trains yet, so that's something we might do later on. But it depends how well this does, really. But we had a decent amount of people watching earlier, so hopefully some people might come back. Right. Pulling in now. It's quite funny, the train's actually taller than the station. Again, wouldn't get that in the UK. Right, set the people off. Oh, you mean you would want like, let's say a Waterloo to Plymouth service, which would go over North Devon. That's sort of what you're getting at there, because I know they used to do South West Trains used to do Waterloo to Paignton and Waterloo to Plymouth and Penzance even, I think. So it was a thing that did exist in the past, but obviously you just have to reverse at Exeter. And let's get off again. I think something I've been thinking about, I think there needs to be a better train service for like the south of England. What I've been thinking to myself is we need like an Exeter to Southampton to like Brighton train or something. Because you have to change a couple times to get to Southampton. Because obviously the West of England main line that goes Exeter, Honiton, then across to Axminster, Yeovil, then across to Salisbury where you have to change for a train. What I think there should be more of a South Coast connecting train. It would involve a lot of reversing, but I think we'd need something from, I don't know, let's say Penzance, Plymouth, Exeter. Then it would go along the West of England main line to Salisbury, and then maybe down to Weymouth, then along to Bournemouth, Brighton, something like that. But it would involve a lot of reversing. I don't know how many people would use it, but I think there really should be a better connection for like the south of England, because like it's easy enough to get to the north of England from the south, but to actually get across the south is a bit more difficult. Again, there isn't a south coast motorway. You have to go along the A30, which is an awful route. There's barely any dual carriageway. I think that there needs to just be like a South Coast motorway or a South Coast train link that doesn't involve as much chaining. We need a better direct South train link, I think. Because for me to get to Brighton, I don't know how I'd even do it. I think I'd have to go to like Exeter to Salisbury to Basingstoke to God knows where. But it'd involve at least 3 changes, and which is silly because Devon's the south of England, and so is Brighton. There's no way just to simply go along. There's no way to go along the bottom of the country. You could have something. They're doing east-west rail. How about we have a east-west southern rail? Penzance to Dover or something that covers all of the stations along the south. Um, I think it could be useful for a lot of people, to be honest. Because at the moment it's quite inconvenient. You just have to go up and then along and then down again, involving at least 2 or 3 changes. Use something like castle sets, exactly. I mean, personally, I was thinking they could do it with 67s, but there's only so many 67s in this country. Um, but yeah, I would like it to be loco hauled, and I thought, you could have, if it was from Plymouth to Brighton, let's say, I think you could have maybe 4 sets running, each of which would have like you'd have an engine with a Devon livery, an engine with a Cornish livery, an engine with a Dorset livery, and so on. But yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool. I think the main issue would be that the West of England main line, a lot of it is single track, so there probably isn't actually that much capacity to add further trains to it. Um, But yeah, maybe if you doubled the West of England main line, you could add a lot more capacity to it and then add better transport links along the south of England. Because I think to get to Kent, which is where some of my family are, what you have to do is I'd have to go to London. I'd have to go to London Paddington and then down. Yeah, Class 68, exactly. I'm a big advocate for loco hauled. I mean, that's simply because I like locos more than I like units. Um, I'm sure it'd be a lot more expensive actually to use loco hauled, but I think 67s or 68s with rake of, I don't know, Mark III sliding doors or Mark IVs. I think that'd be a possible thing. Um, but yeah, that's something I might make a video on potentially. But I'm doing a video on what they could do for the Heathfield line, and I'd like to look into. I'm going to do some research into like the potential for a South Coast rail link or something. Um, But yeah, I think it'd be an interesting video. So if you think you'd be interested in that, do let me know, because that's something I wouldn't mind actually looking into a bit. I think the passengers are on, so let's get going. Another idea I had while we're talking about my stupid ideas, I think they made a big mistake by getting rid of all the yeah, more passing loops. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I think a lot of it's just in like fields and stuff, so I think it'd be easy enough just to double track it in a few places to add the capacity. Because at the moment it's quite an underused line. It's got a lot of potential, but it's really underused. I think most of the stations only get like 1 train an hour in each direction, I think. I guess there's quite a low population, but it is something I think that they need to upgrade, expand on, and bring a lot more potential to by the South Coast Rail Link, which is something I'm going to invent and maybe talk about in the future. But I think they shouldn't have got rid of the Pacers. I've had another idea where instead of scrapping all the Pacers, we need to convert them to like hydrogen powered or something, do a little bit of upgrade, and then they can be used to help reopen these lines. You know, the Heathfield line, I don't think it would be money viable to use a Class 150, but if you had like some sort of cheap to run Pacer or maybe a Viva Rail 230, I think it'd be possible. But if we're going to be reopening these underused branch lines, and I think we're going to need cheap, affordable trains to run them. So I'm thinking hydrogen power, battery power for, only a 5-6 mile branch line with charging points at either end or something. Yeah, exactly. Paying to get to Exeter, which is sort of the whole point of the line. So London Waterloo to Exeter line, and one train an hour. I mean, that's not great. Um, Yeovil Junction is actually quite a big station. It's what, 3 or 4 platforms, I think, maybe even more. So there's a lot of potential that you could add more routes to it. And I think the Yeovil Penn Mill station, I'm not sure what line that is. I think it's like, I don't know, the Westbury to Weymouth line. Again, I think that's something that is underused. Um, Trains through Dorchester and down to Weymouth, I think there could be more of, which is something that maybe the South Coast Rail Link, whatever I'm calling it, would be. But to get to Weymouth, I think you'd have to do a lot of moving around at Yeovil. Like, I think you'd have to go from Yeovil to Yeovil Penn Mill, then down. So obviously that's going to make it quite a long journey because there's going to be so many junctions and sort of turnarounds involved. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good idea in some ways. I'd like to hear your opinions on that. And if you'd want me to make a video on it, but I think a South Coast Rail Link is something that would be good. Convert and rebuild withdrawn units. Yeah, I think we've got so many units that are being withdrawn at the moment that would be useful. I mean, the 769s that are used by Transport for Wales, I mean, they're going to be displaced over the next couple of years. So we could use them. I'm thinking, I think a 4-car would be overkill for a lot of these lines. If you maybe had like a 2-car Class 319 conversion, maybe, or a Pacer. I'm trying to think what else is being withdrawn. I think a lot of the 365s got withdrawn. I'm sure they can be used for something. But obviously it depends on how easy it is to convert them. It might be more costly to convert them than it would be just to use a 150. But yeah, I mean, there's so many old units. I think we're gonna have to. Oh no, we've overshot that one. Whoops. Too busy talking. I have to reverse back into there. But yeah, we've got a lot of withdrawn units that could be used. I think there should be more castle sets knocking about as well. If we convert a load more Mark IIIs for sliding doors, I think that could be useful for a number of operators. Because obviously they've got them in Scotland, they've got them down here, and I think they're going to be using them for a good few more years. I don't know what they're going to be replaced by there. I don't know what new trains GWR are getting, but if they're going to get rid of the castle sets, they're going to need a lot more units from somewhere. I think the 769s. Are the GWR on 769s? I'm not sure, but I know GWR have some version of a 319. I don't know if that's going to. I think that's displacing more 166s and 165s. So I guess we'll get more of them over here. Then eventually that'll get rid of the castle units. But I think the plan is 166s and 165s. They're all going to Bristol to displace all the 158s in the area. They're all coming down to Exeter to displace the 150s, and they're all going down to Cornwall to work on the Cornish branches. That's what I've been told anyway. Right, time for another passenger pickup. I think they're bringing in Class 93s at some point, which I think is Rail Operations Group version of the Class 68s and the 88s. They're supposed to be tri-mode. I've seen some pictures of them. I think they look wicked. It's a really nice livery, but I don't know if they've even been built yet. But GWR, I think that's one of the things they're considering to use on their sleeper service, which would be quite cool. Because as much as I like the 57s and I think they look cool, they are crap and they always break down constantly. Like, the 800s have been used on the sleeper service, and obviously they don't have beds. So I think the sleeper service is something that needs a bit of an overhaul and a bit of an upgrade. But I don't know how many people use it, to be honest. But sleeper trains, I think that's another thing there isn't enough of in this country. There's only 2. I think there's a lot of potential for more sleeper services. I think there should be. But we need to replace the 56s with something new. I think there were talks about 67s, 68s, and the 93s whenever they get introduced. With the 93s, there's only going to be 10 of them, so I don't know how many ROG are going to be able to spare to then use on the 2 sleeper trains. And I guess the coaches could probably be upgraded to Mark 4s as well, but I don't think there are more Mark 4 sleepers. And then the other sleeper train we did have, which is supposed to be the Night Star, all those coaches are in Canada, so you can't use them either. I think we also need a there's no like direct Wales to Scotland trains. I think cross country should be doing Cardiff to Edinburgh services. I know they do. I think there's a Cardiff to Manchester Piccadilly they do, but there isn't any connection between Scotland or Wales that's direct, which I think is crazy to be honest. There should be like a capital connection train for between Cardiff and Edinburgh or something. I think that makes sense to me. That could be like an open access. It could run. Don't know what line it would run on actually, because the Welsh Marches line, some of that single track, I think that's probably already overloaded enough as it is. But there should be something. But it could go I don't know, Cardiff, Shrewsbury, Manchester, then up north to Edinburgh. But there should be something. I think it seems crazy to me that the two of the countries that make up this country, that makes no sense. Sorry, two of the sub countries that make up Great Britain don't actually have a connection. Obviously, there's London Edinburgh and London Cardiff, but there's no Cardiff Edinburgh. And I think we're definitely missing this one. Yeah, okay, forget about that station. Bye bye. We're just going to ignore that exists, and we're going to go straight on through. Bye bye. Chatham, interesting. It's called Chatham. I don't have the Chatham main line, not into my Electro Stars really. There's quite a variety of speed limits on this route. On the actual scenarios, it does sort of keep you on your toes, which is what makes it interesting, I guess. Quite a nice cab. I think some of the trains I have, you can like open the windows and stuff. I think some like SD40s, you can like open the doors and bits, which is quite cool. I want to triple track now as well. I think there's is there a branch back here somewhere? Oh yeah, there's a branch that goes down that way. 22 miles to go. Still not sure what this ETA is. That does not seem right to me. It's telling me it's going to take us 12 hours to get there, I think, because I'm assuming that's 1:17 a.m., which is a little bit crazy. Penzance, Scotland, yeah, that's very true. I mean, you connect the capital of Cornwall, which personally I think should be an independent country, technically. Don't know what you guys think about that, but in my eyes, the United Kingdom's made up of England, Cornwall, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. Sorry, Northern Ireland, because the Cornish are technically their own thing. But yeah, again, that's a good idea. Instead of thinking about London, we need to think about the other counties and the other cities that exist. It's not all about the Londoners, but I guess that's where most people work, so that's where you need the sleeper services going to. Maybe we could have a Cardiff to London sleeper, maybe. But I guess that would share a lot of the route with the current sleeper services, But again, that's capital connections, which is sort of important. Because Cardiff's pretty big, and a lot of South Wales is growing pretty rapidly. You could have maybe a Swansea to London sleeper even. I don't know how many Mark 5s they built. I know there's a few spares, but I guess the Mark 3s that were replaced by the Mark 5s, you could probably use them. I don't know what you'd use to haul it though. 68s maybe? Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting one. Funnily enough, I've got a freelance sort of model railway, and what I'm doing is I'm actually bringing over some F40s to run on my Cardiff Metro. They're going to be rebuilt to Welsh standard, which is slightly different. I think the main issue with the F40s is they're too big for the UK loading gauge. They'd have to shrink them down a lot, then it'd basically be a completely new loco. I think it'd be really cool to see some, but they are massive. I mean, if we have a look at this one right here, right, that would not fit into a British platform. Sorry. Um, F40 PH-3CI. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think. Oh God, brakes are on. I think I broke something. I think it would be cool to see some American engines over here. But again, because our loading gauge is so restricted, even with broad gauge, I think broad gauge locos are hideous. Irish, Irish gauge is quite big actually, but it's still not stupidly big. Thing is, even with broad gauge, that would just restrict it to one track stations and one track lines. So that would just reduce the capacity so much. Because you can't just knock down every bridge in the country. You just have to, instead of having two tracks going through, it'd only be one. So I think broad gauge maybe not so much, but there's something that we need to do about loading gauge really. I think HS2 they're talking about using double decker trains, but they won't be able to be moved around the rest of the network. So I'm not sure if they will do that. But there's just so many old bridges in this country. You have to knock them all down and rebuild basically all of the stations. 7-foot pacer, yeah. They were actually there was actually a pacer in Northern Ireland. I think it's a class 141. They were used. I don't know if they're actually used there, but there's definitely one test there. So there's a 5-foot 3-inch gauge pacer. Anyone still getting on? And to be fair, the train is actually over the platform. It's sort of morphed into the platform, but that's sort of yeah. If it doesn't even fit in New Jersey loading gauge, there we go. But I mean, technically, if you think about it, Class 59s, they are basically ST40-2s in a different body shell. So the Class 66s, they're built in Canada, but they're sort of just like a European version of the ST40-2. There's an SW1001, which is an export model. There's one of them somewhere in Dorset, I believe, or it might be Somerset actually, at Merehead Quarry. So we've got one proper American engine at least, but that does shunting, and again, that wouldn't be allowed out to the main network because it's slightly too big. Righty, let's get going then. We are now 19 miles away. Back up on that 45-mile-an-hour limit. Ah, I'm only speeding by a mile an hour, that's fine. And we're still... okay, we are going downhill here. Need to slap on the brakes a bit. Yeah, no, it does look really cool. It's something I was going to do a model of at some point, but sort of haven't got around to because I've got so many other projects. But yeah, Yeoman SW1001 I think would be quite cool. I've seen some models of it. A lot of the engines at some of the steelworks in South Wales, they look American, but I think they're built by Hunslet. I'm not sure on that one there. They're sort of designed like SW type switcher engines, but obviously they're not. Right, we've got one more station. Oh, we've got two more stations. I think there's four stations really, really close to each other, and then we're back onto like the northeastern corridor briefly. Yeah, I don't know, but electronic bells I think would be quite cool. But you just get so many noise complaints in this country. I think all you need in this country is you need like bright LED lights or a yellow front, and that's all you need for safety reasons. I think in America they have to have a bell to go over a lot of crossings because they don't have proper barriers like we do in this country. I think all of the crossings in this country they've got proper barriers, so it's quite hard to get through. I mean, I guess maybe for warning people to get back behind the yellow line, a bell could be useful for going through a station, but at the same time, you can just blast a horn. It's something they have in America, but I don't think it's ever caught on in the UK. I know that 66779, which is Evening Star, I mean, that one has got a working bell, because it was the last one built, so they slapped a Canadian bell on it. So I know that one does work, but obviously it's not used like in service, it's only used like as a joke, essentially. We're not going to skip this one. What is this? Short hills. We'll stop here. People on and off. I think another thing they have in America is they have ditch lights that sort of alternate and flash. I'm pretty sure the Class 68s do that. I've got a video, an old video where the 68's lights are sort of like flashing alternately, which is what they do with ditch lights in America. So there's some. I thought they were built in America for a second, but obviously they're not. They're built in Switzerland, I think. Is it Vossloh who makes them? Can't remember. I mean, you can tell America just doesn't have a loading gauge. I mean, if you've seen some of the American steam engines, I mean, there's like two 88882s or something that look absolutely crazy. They can do about 10 miles an hour, but they're absolutely massive. But like some of the coal trains they had. If you look at the big boy, for example, I mean, that would just break anything in this country. That's true. Misuse, crossing misuse, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess you get a lot of crossings which are sort of they're unmanned crossings for like farmers and stuff. Or like walkers, but there's always whistle boards along the line, so the driver has to make sure they blast the horn before it. But maybe if the train could automatically turn on a bell rather than have the driver having to be relied upon, that could be a thing, I guess. Maybe it's triggered in certain areas. We're missing this station. I completely forgot. Whoops. Okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess the bells could be useful in some cases, but we've already got the whistle boards and there's like the that sort of stuff to deal with that. I think whenever the Flying Scotsman's about, that's where you just want to like get like a train with some guns on to just get rid of all the trespassers. Get an army train, slap a Challenger 2 turret on it, just scare everyone. Or you could just put the Flying Scotsman in a museum and completely forget about it because it's a complete waste of money. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I don't think a big boy would even fit on anything. You couldn't just couldn't bring it over here. It's something I might go and have a look at one day, but like I think it looks awesome. But again, I'm not enough into steam trains to go and have a look at it. I mean, there's other trains, you know. I think it's the what's it called? Is it the Rock? It's the line that run the Iowa something or other. They've got a Chinese engine that they use. Is it Iowa Pacific? Iowa Central, something like that. They've got quite a cool looking Chinese engine. I think so, like a 410 or something off the top of my head, but I could be wrong. It's Mikado, maybe. Yeah, I guess. Ebel. I mean, I think is it this one that does that? No. The GP40 I've got that automatically goes on whenever I use the horn. We'll drive that one in a bit, maybe. Depends how much time I've got left to do this, because I've got to go down to Torquay at some point today. Right, let's not miss this station because it's quite a big looking one. It's 3 platforms at least. I think in this UK, everyone's just they just complain about the bell. I don't know. I think there's probably too many noise laws in this country to get away with it. Like, I'm pretty sure trains aren't allowed to use their horn after a certain time in the same way that some cars aren't allowed to in residential areas. I mean, on this route, the Long Branch to Bay Head, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to use the horn because it's like a suburb. So there's a lot of people there. Let's see if we can just get one coach in. And we've overshot. Whoops. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Pretty bad driver on the North Jersey coast today. Welcome back. Right, let's get going. We have now got 15 miles to go. We've been streaming for almost 40 minutes now. Well, I was briefly streaming Minecraft as well, but I think we're just going to do this from now on. Are we ready to go? Yeah, we are going. Cool. Awesome. Back into the cab. What does this do? So that's the throttle. I think this one here is a dynamic brake. This one here is the actual brake, yeah. And then this one is not a clue. Don't know what that one does. Right. I wonder how many more stations we've got. There should be a few. Yeah. Okay, so we are there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 8 more stations to go. And there is another train coming in our direction now as well. Oh, that lagged a lot for me then. Right, back in the cab. One thing about this one is it takes so long to actually get up to speed. With the electric ones, it's so much more quick. Way better acceleration. But yeah, got a video coming out this evening. As for the rest of the week, there should be a Terrier review on Wednesday. Eventually, that's going to be moved over to a different channel, in a slightly different format, I guess. And I think we might end up missing this one. Let's see. Slap on the emergency brake and full power backwards and see if we can make it. And then on Friday, I might be doing a video on my other layout project. But we'll see. Class 68s, I think they've been via Dawlish before. I'm pretty sure I saw an engineering train there when I had a brief break of about a year when I wasn't into trains during oh god, I've stopped too soon. Yeah, I had a brief break from trains. I'm pretty sure I saw a 68 on the seawall during some repairs. But yeah, I know that some engines are quite sensitive to water, so I know that the Voyagers, I think if there's like a big wave and it hits them, it like proper screws them up. Which is stupid. I don't see why they'd use them on that line if that's what happens, but yeah, I mean, I think they've been on rail tours as well before, but that might have only gone as far as Exeter, because I saw a top and tailed, I think it was the Bellman British Pullman, that went down to Exeter like in 2017 or something, so I saw that then. I haven't seen many 68s, I don't think. Oh, Gibber Island, okay. But yeah, well, like they were talking about for the sleeper, it is a possibility. It might happen one day, because realistically, they have got to get rid of the 57-6s because they are awful. Right, are people getting out? Looks like they're all done. Let's go. I think it would be a good looking livery as well, actually. I think GWR on the 68s might look quite nice. Obviously, I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're technically they're nationalising next year, aren't they? So I don't know if it's still going to be called GWR, if it all just gets... I don't know if everything's just getting BR logos again or what. It really confuses me. I don't actually know what's happening. on that front. I don't know if everything just keeps in the same livery, but maybe a different logo. Because obviously GWR, I don't know if that's technically going to be a thing from next year because everything's Great British Railways or whatever they're calling it. I don't know. Yeah, 800 is just crap. For the amount of flooding you get in the southwest, you need a water-resistant engine. In America, they'll just drive through it anyway. In England, not a chance. My old local line, that got flooded all the time. Probably part of the reason why they closed it, to be fair. Right, here's another station. These ones are really close together, actually. You can see that one there. And we just left that one there. So these are really close together. It must be about a mile apart, if that. I'm going to slap on the brakes so we don't miss it. Alrighty, I think we'll be right for this one, actually. Yeah, I think we're right here. French. I think it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think it's franchising because obviously that completely failed. I think it's being run like how London Transport is. Like it's all technically owned by the government, but they're contracted to run it or something. I don't think they make the decisions. I'm not sure. It's beyond me, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know if they're as owned by private companies as they were, because obviously the private companies just completely destroyed the railway. But then you could say the same thing about British Railways, you know, because it's all done off taxpayer money. If we get a Labour government in who don't really want to spend anything, then the railway's going to fall into disrepair. Sorry, not Labour government. If we get a Conservative government again, everything will just fall into disrepair because obviously they'll just not spend money. And then other end of the spectrum, you'll get Labour in. They'll spend too much money on it, and then we'll all go into like billions and billions and billions of pounds of debt. And our taxes will all get raised, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, you get free travel, so it's fine for your taxes to be raised or whatever." But it's gonna, yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be difficult. But it's gonna be interesting how it goes. In my eyes, as long as it brings out some new liveries, I'm not worried too much. I think freight operating companies, they're still gonna be private, but I think they're running as fine as they are. Um, Trying to think what else is there. Then open access, so things like Lumo and Grand Central, I think they operate the same way as they always did. I think it would work the same way as it does in Europe. Because I think in Europe most of the rails are owned by the government, but you get a lot of like open access stuff like freight operators, and you get things like Flixtrain, which is an open access operator in Germany and Sweden. So, alrighty. There's, well, three stations along the bottom there, so you can tell how close together these ones all are. So Highland Avenue, then we're going to Orange, and then Church. And I don't know if we're going to overrun again. No, that's be right. Let's hop into the back coach again. Yeah, we'll be right here. Righty. Let's set passengers on. And then get going again. 12 miles now till the terminal. Right. Let's get going again. See the lights are flashing on the top there as well. The beacons, I think that's quite cool. Whenever you flash your lights, the beacons come on. Quite a nice feature. Right, off to Orange now. Oh, I think my game might have just crashed. May have just crashed, folks. Oh, that's a shame. It's going quite well there. Um, we might be broke. Oh no, we're back. We are back. Yeah, I think we're going to transfer over to 64-bit edition once we've made this next stop. And we'll see if that runs any better. We'll do a different route. I'll let you guys pick, actually, on what we do next. So we'll just make a stop here, then I think it's probably best if we swap over, just to avoid a big lag spike like that again. Yeah, pretty big oof moment, I'm not going to lie. Which is annoying. So we almost made it an hour there as well before that happened. So either we can carry on doing this. No, there's another lag spike. Yeah, I think we're going to have to stop 64-bit edition. Unfortunately, but I'll swap over to 32-bit now. So you're going to get a bit of a black screen briefly, just while I swap over to 64-bit edition, which should run a little bit better, hopefully. Let's quickly quit. You're going to get a black screen for a little bit, guys. Okay, right. Now we are going to run. I have to do it via Steam. We'll run 32-bit edition now. Sorry, 64-bit edition, and we'll see if that makes any difference. Right, 64-bit edition. I think that's the one that is sort of more designed for lower specs. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But that should be booting up now. Yeah, there we go. Might get your moves in a minute. Awesome. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we'll try and get it running on 32-bit edition. So the graphics will be even worse than they already were. But now you guys get to decide what we're going to do. So we're going to go onto Quick Drive. And apparently I have no routes at all. Oh, no, there we go. I haven't got all my routes here at the moment because I don't have enough space on my laptop. But you can see down here we've got Riviera line in the 50s, Hamburg to Lübeck, got a Japanese line. This is the one we are doing at the moment. Marseille to Avignon, Hudson line. I quite like the Hudson line myself. North Jersey coastline, Sherman Hill. I haven't done that for a very long time. And then we've got South Wales coastal, the Wakayama Sakuri line, and the Castle Rock Railroad. And it looks like it's lagging again. Near where you were. But now you guys get to decide what we're going to do. So we're going to go onto Quick Drive. And apparently I have no routes at all. There's a lot of lag here now. But now you guys get to decide what we're going to do. So we're going to go onto Quick Drive. And apparently I have no routes at all. Oh, no, there we go. I haven't got all my routes here at the moment because I don't have enough space. Oh, there we go. I haven't got all my routes here at the moment because I don't have enough space on my laptop. But you can see now we've got Riviera line in the 50s, Hamburg to Lübeck, got a Japanese line. This is the one we are doing at the moment. Marseille to Avignon. Line. This is the one we are doing at the moment. Marseille to Avignon, Hudson line. I quite like the Hudson line myself. North Jersey coastline, Sherman Hill. I haven't done that for Hudson line. I quite like the Hudson line myself. North Jersey coastline, Sherman Hill. I haven't done that for a very long time. we've got South Wales Coastal, the Wakayama Security Line, and the Castle Rock Railroad. And it looks like it's lagging again. So there we were. But now you guys get to decide what we're going to do. So we're going to go onto Quick Drive, and we're going to have no routes at all. Okay. I have my routes here at the moment, because I don't have the space map. South, North Jersey coastline, Sherman Hill. I haven't done that for a very long time. And South Wales. Coastal. We have no routes at all. My routes here at the moment. We have the space map. What is going on, folks? Yeah, okay, folks. I don't know what is going on here. What's studio mode? It should be working now, so I'm not entirely sure what is going on here. So that's 30 seconds behind. Okay, folks, right. So let me know in the chat when you have heard this. I want to know how bad the delay is. So yeah, we'll just see. We're going to try and drive a steam train to see if that works. But yeah, there's a major delay here. The stream is completely broken.